Good morning. Do you think I'm excited about this day? I'm so excited, and I hope that you are too, because we are at the start of a new chapter here at All Souls, and I'll say more about Reverend Katrina in a moment. But we gather on this day, this beautiful, perfect day. Can I get an amen for the beautiful, perfect day? Amen, this beautiful, perfect day to buoy our spirits as we gather, as we do, as congregations have, as All Souls Unitarian Universalist congregation since 1907. And so we walk in a long line of ancestors who sought religious freedom and tolerance, and they founded and created it in this place, on this land of the Mohegan and Niantic people, who we honor each week and every day, knowing that they came first. And we are here on borrowed, and some say stolen, land. So we gather in joy and in peace, and we say, as we do every week, welcome to All Souls, where all souls are welcome. You are joyfully called to worship. I invite you to rise in body and or spirit, and we will join our voices in singing, Gather the Spirit. We begin each week by passing the peace to each other, and we begin that with asking if anyone is here for the first time so that we may welcome you appropriately. George Fargo is here. George
George, who we have not seen in a long time, always in the online pews from Maine, but visiting once again, and Tammy found this great photo of George for the occasion. We knew you were coming. But those of you here for the first time, raise your hand so we may welcome you appropriately. Greg, I see you. Yes, here we are. If you are in the online pews and you are there for the first time, please note so in the chat and you will be welcomed there. Let us turn to each other and offer each other a greeting of peace. Peace be with you. And so I would like to formally introduce to all of you our acting associate minister, the Reverend Dr. Katrina Lanza. As many of you know, Katrina was ordained in the United Church of Christ and comes with us with a very interesting background that includes an interesting theological journey, a scientific journey, an interesting life as an immigrant and a newcomer to this country, although she has been here for well over 20 years. We have so much to learn from her, and I know she will learn so much from all of you as I have these many years, and so I thank you for welcoming her as warmly as you have so far, and we celebrate this day as we begin a new chapter in our congregation's life. There we go. Welcome.
Thank you, Carolyn.
But I would also like to invite George Fargo to come forward to light our chalice this morning.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, All Souls. It's so good to be here. To begin each worship service, the chalice is lit, symbol of Unitarian Universalism, symbol of courage, liberation, and freedom. As George lights the chalice, I invite us to say these words together.
We gather this morning as a community united by common ideals: love, justice, diversity, freedom, mutual care, equity. Look at the faces of those around you, every one of us with our own story, strengths, and growing edges. We light our chalice today to honor our common connection and also the uniqueness that lives within each of us. George, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good, yeah, all right. We're so happy to see you. And I am going to light our peace candle this morning. Every week we hold a place in our hearts. And today we hold Jacksonville, Florida, which many of you know is the site of another racially motivated shooting, which tears our hearts apart, I know. And this on the eve of the 60th anniversary of Reverend Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, 60 years ago. And we are still working to make that dream come to fruition. The work never ends. So let us hold in our hearts that community of Jacksonville, the people whose lives were lost, their families, their communities, as they try to come back in some way, shape, or form from this tragedy. There we go. All right. The reading this morning is by Irish poet, theologian, and philosopher John O'Donohue. Maybe some of you have read John O'Donohue, who said, "In postmodern culture, there is a deep hunger to belong. An increasing majority of people feel isolated and marginalized. Experience is haunted by fragmentation. Many of the traditional shelters are in ruins. Society is losing the art of fostering community. Consumerism is now propelling life forward towards the lonely isolation of individualism. Technology pretends to unite us, yet more often than not, all it delivers are simulated images. The global village has no roads or neighbors. It is a faceless limbo from which all individuality has been abstracted. Politics seems devoid of the imagination that calls forth vision and ideals. It is becoming ever more synonymous with the functionalism of economic pragmatism. Many of the keepers of the great religious traditions now seem to be frightened functionaries
In a more uniform culture, their management skills would be efficient and successful. In a pluralistic and deeply fragmented culture, they seem unable to converse with the complexities and hungers of our longing. From this perspective, it seems that we are in the midst of a huge crisis of belonging. When the outer cultural shelters are in ruins, we need to explore and reawaken the depths of belonging in the human mind and soul. Perhaps the recognition of the depth of our hunger to belong may gradually assist us in awakening new and unexpected possibilities of community and friendship. So ends the reading. I want to note that John O'Donohue died, very sadly and unexpectedly, in 2008. So I'm not sure when he wrote this, but it was before 2008. Interesting, right? Bill.
I'm so enjoying meeting all of you. It is fascinating to hear from each of you how your life journey and spiritual path has brought you to this communion of beloved community. As Carolyn said, I'm a UCC pastor. Many of you have been asking me that same question: what is the path that brought you to All Souls? I went to seminary at Andover Newton Theological School, and the two denominations most represented there in the student body were UCC and UUA. And we were taught in history classes that in the family tree of religious traditions, we were taught that UUA and UCC are first cousins. So I am delighted to be here sojourning with my kin. I really find it thrilling that you come from such different backgrounds: humanist, atheist, agnostic, Jewish, Buddhist, Christian, carrying with you the things that are meaningful to you from those traditions, and dropping by the wayside those things, the excess baggage that are not so useful to you. It's a beautiful thing that Unitarian Universalism doesn't require you to give up other religious affiliations and practices. And the beautiful diversity that is formed when you all come together, that's really something. I wanted to share with you a couple of occurrences this week pertinent to my spiritual journey as it overlaps with yours. And maybe this is TMI, especially at first meeting. But please just bear with me, and I promise it won't happen all the time. Beginning with the confession. I am a more than occasional Amazon customer. On Wednesday, an order arrived with 3 books that fall into the spiritual but not so much religious category. And with eager anticipation, I opened the box dangerously with a pair of scissors. I took out the books. I was about to put the box on the floor for Coca the cat, who was waiting to jump into it. But there at the bottom of the box, written in pencil on a piece of that shiny white paper, was a note. Jesus is the way, the truth, the life. Google John 3:16. He loves you so much, he can save you from what's going on. Make of that what you will. I'm only hoping that Amazon can't look into my soul. But to suffice to say that I have never had that view of Jesus. And this is the second thing that happened. On Friday night, I had a dream that my minister from my years as a teenager, Mr. Kopp, I had a dream that Mr. Kopp had died, and I was in a church hall looking around for his wife and his daughter and his granddaughter. Make of that what you will. I think Carl Jung would have called that a big dream. But Mr. Kopp sadly died prematurely a long time ago when I was in my 20s. One thing among many that I loved about Mr. Kopp was that on Sunday mornings at that time, our very modern Church of Scotland on the outskirts of Glasgow, Mr. Kopp would encourage us to gaze out of the windows along one wall, there were windows that looked out onto the Campsie Fells, a series of hills that stretched east from west. And Mr. Kopp would say he was quite happy for us to look out at the hills all during the worship service. Like so many of us, Mr. Kopp understood what a sense of grounding that nature can provide. Those ancient sentinels, solid and unchanging, 350 million years old. Celtic spirituality, represented by John O'Donoghue from our passage this morning that Carolyn read, encompasses that sentiment that nature gives us a sense of groundedness and continuity, gives us a sense of belonging, which is often missing and which we all long for. The longing to belong is ancient. We might say it's as old as the hills. Longing to belong is part of being human. Yes, even for loners and introverts, extreme introverts. Belonging can happen in healthy ways and in not so healthy ways. Sometimes we want to belong so much that we tie ourselves in knots, trying to be people that we're not. I wonder, can you think of a time when you've done that? I remember as a child living in Australia, faking an Australian accent to fit in at school. And then in Scotland, putting on a Scottish accent. It was difficult. It wasn't me at all. I just wanted to belong. And as you can hear, I'm still struggling with my American accent. Do you recall a time when you've been somebody you're not? Many of us have contorted ourselves in ways that would earn us an Olympic gold medal in gymnastics. And perhaps that allowed us to feel a part of what was going on. But it's not true belonging. And we all long to belong. Have you ever received an invitation that said, "Come as you are"? Or you've called up about an event and the response is, "Oh, just show up." But there's some dissonance there. People will say, "Oh, just be who you are." But they often don't completely mean it. And the longing remains. It's longing to belong that can draw us to spiritual community. We have an inkling, we have a feeling, we have a nudge that something is missing, something important. And despite the fact that basically every religious or spiritual tradition has something in its foundation about acceptance and difference and the true meaning of love, religious institutions can themselves encourage religious pretzel-like contortions, along with believing 100 impossible things before breakfast. And still, the longing remains because conforming isn't true belonging. There's a reciprocal relationship between belonging and authenticity. To experience true belonging, we must be able to be our authentic self. And when we can be our authentic self is when we experience greatest belonging. John O'Donoghue writes, "When your way of belonging in the world is truthful to your nature and your dreams, your heart finds contentment and your soul finds stillness. You are able to participate fully in the joy and adventure of exploration, and your life opens up for living joyfully, powerfully, and tenderly." On my first day at All Souls, we were sitting having lunch, and Carolyn asked Tammy and Perry, what's important for Katrina to know about the congregation? And this is what Tammy said. She said that everyone is unique. Everyone who comes in here, each one is their own person. Everybody's different, everybody's unique. What a great tribute to a community. And Perry, by the way, said, it's an especially loving congregation and remarkably healthy. Those features that you all are unique, that you're an especially loving congregation, and that you are a remarkably healthy congregation, those characteristics are all connected. A healthy community doesn't just support diversity. A healthy community requires diversity. Dealing with spiritual diversity and difference can be difficult in a community. But you all as a community and Unitarian Universalism make room for that with a clear understanding that each of us is on a spiritual journey, and each of us is responsible for our spiritual journey. And the community will be there for us as we engage more deeply in what each of us truly believes. Maybe you've heard the phrase anam cara from Celtic spirituality. Anam cara is literally soul friend. A soul friend being a guide who accompanies you on your own particular spiritual journey, who encourages you, challenges you, supports you along the way. And it strikes me that similar to an anam cara, soul friend, it strikes me that All Souls is a soul community, if you like, encouraging, challenging, supporting each soul on their own particular journey. John O'Donoghue liked to compare community to a constellation. He said community, true community, was like a constellation of stars. He says, perhaps community is a constellation. Each one of us is a different light in the emerging collective of brightness. A constellation of light has great power of illumination than any single light would have on its own. Together, we increase brightness. And yet, no star can move outside of the constellation in order to view the overall brightness. But this community, this soul community of all souls, this constellation of all souls, I want to tell you from my perspective from the outside coming into the community, I want to tell you that your light shines brightly. Know that each one of you is a particular, unique part of that constellation, without which the community would not be what it is. Shine on, All Souls, in your uniqueness and in your unity. Amen. I invite you into a moment of silence. John O'Donoghue said that in a soul sense, we cannot be ourselves without others. And that in order to be, we need to be with. Let us be with.
Thank you so much, Katrina. I think I will take that phrase of John O'Donohue's, be with, to be with. That's so beautiful, right? But it's so interesting when someone mirrors back to you what they are seeing of you as a community, right? It's a refreshing and interesting way for us to consider who we are as a congregation. So thank you for that, for holding up that mirror. We will turn our hearts and minds to a spirit of generosity in our offering. Let me just say one thing before we do. When you came into the sanctuary this morning, you should have received this piece of paper that has a list of ways that you would be willing to help your fellow souls when one of your fellow souls is in a jam. So please fill that out and put it into the basket of the offering. Make sure to put your name on it. Don't forget that. And the counters today will separate those out, get them into Katrina's mailbox, the Associate Minister's mailbox, and then the caring team will reorganize our database on who is able to do what and from where. So thanks for doing that. Let's say these words together. We give to the work of all souls. Our work weaves the fabric of love called community. To this end, we dedicate ourselves and this our offering. The offering will be gratefully received. All that you have shared and all that you have sacrificed. Thank you. Okay, you're up.
Each week when we gather, one of the ways that we tend to the fabric of community is to bear witness to each other's lives, the joy and the sorrow. Those souls here in the online pews, we invite you to write in the YouTube chat what you would like shared here in this time. And a reminder to please not to respond until afterwards, so that makes it easier to read through. Those of you in Unity Hall, be aware that you can also write in this book, which sits in the lobby. And anyone can email belovedcommunity@allsouls.net. Those in Unity Hall, you're invited to come forward to light a candle of intention as you are so moved. And if you are at the front of the line, please, if you could come up the ramp and light the candles at the far end so that the line can flow. Friends, the circle is open. Your joy, your sorrow, all are received here. From the Grey Book, may sisters land safely, peace. From Casey and Anne, through the past few weeks, we have been buoyed up and held with so much love from All Souls. Thank you for your care and concern. Casey and Anne, we will keep the care and concern coming. From Lee Capon, Lexi. Please pray for my friend's daughter who was admitted to CCMC psych ward for severe anxiety, panic attacks, and PTSD. Prayers for your friend's daughter, Lexi. Lexi tests for her school bus CD2 tomorrow, hoping she passes so she can begin work on Wednesday. Blessings to you, Lexi. Good luck. From Judy Behan. Is that right? Thoughts and prayers for my mom, who has not been in good health. She now has been in the hospital for a week with pneumonia and COVID. Thoughts and prayers for your mum, Judy. From beloved community at All Souls, Lynn Tavermina and John Betcher shared that they are in Utah this week to mourn the death and celebrate the life of their sister Kathy, who died in June. The many siblings in the Tavermina Betcher family are scattered from coast to coast, but they will be together in Utah for this memorial service, which will be a comfort. Wishing them all comfort. And from the online pews, from Charlie Schott, wishing my bride Laurie a good recovery with a new knee. Love, Nurse Charlie. Laurie, we wish you a good recovery, yes. And go, Nurse Charlie. From Julie Olson, I have the joy of visiting my daughter Laura and her husband next weekend in rural Mississippi. Julie, that's wonderful. We'll be thinking of you as you travel and spend that time with your daughter. Rudder Richmond Covey says, it is beyond wonderful to see all your faces. I miss you so. That's lovely, Rada. Prayers of gratitude for community. And from Vanessa Hawk, wishing the best for all teachers, students, and those who care for them this school year. Amen indeed. Let us hold everything that has been shared and all that is in our hearts as we enter into a communion of prayer and meditation, followed by silence, and we'll close this time with song. Spirit of life, source of love, we hold close in our hearts the sorrows present, named and unnamed. We acknowledge the weight of grief, disappointment, and suffering. May our love and care uphold those who need it this day. We hold in our hearts also the joys present. May they reverberate through the week and through life. We honor the uniqueness of each individual, the diversity of our spiritual journeys, and the resulting strength of beloved community. May we remember what we have done in this hour. May our heart find contentment and our soul find stillness. Amen. I invite you to rise in body and/or in spirit and join our voices in singing our closing hymn, I've Got Peace Like a River. Let us continue to join our voices together in extinguishing the chalice. Our service is ended, but our work is not yet done. May our spirits be renewed and our preparation purpose resolved as we meet the challenges of the week. The child's flame is extinguished until once again united by the strength of our communion. Those of you at home, if you would like to place your hand on your heart and stretch your arm out to the community beyond your screen, and for those in Unity Hall, if you'd like to do the same or stretch your arms to the wider world. The word longing comes from an old word meaning to lengthen. So as we lengthen our arms, let us be aware of our longings and the longing that is in the world. In the days ahead, may your own longing and the longing in the world, may your own longing and the longing in the world, may they somehow meet in the days ahead. Go in peace and return in joy. Amen. Amen. I invite you to be seated for the postlude.
Thank you, Bill. Are you all curious about what's going on up here? We are having a pop-up cupcake coffee hour to celebrate Reverend Katrina's first Sunday in the pulpit. We think months and months is too long for All Souls to go without some kind of sweet treat at the end of our services. So we are setting up here, and afterwards you are all welcome to come forward to have a little something sweet to celebrate this new chapter. There are announcements. The Sharing Circle facilitators are meeting directly after the service today. I'm not sure where, in the library. Somebody help me. Peace Garden, in the Peace Garden. So if you are a facilitator, head out that way, number one. Number two, Jesse had the wise counsel that we should all be reminded that the water communion is in 2 weeks. So gather up your water now. Remember now that that is coming then in 2 weeks. Next week, I am preaching for Labor Day weekend. It is our last summer service. I don't know where the summer went, but I will be preaching, and I think Paul Carolyn is the liturgist that day. So that's that, and I don't have, are there any other announcements? I rarely do this. Carol. Yes, there are pictures on Facebook of what's going on behind that screen, and it looks like a community room. I know, it's incredible. Carol Thompson, what were you going to say?
The papers that were filled out.
Yes. Okay. Okay, Carol Thompson is going to be tabling in the hallway. If you have questions about the soul support information that you filled out, she will be there to answer your questions. Today is Sally McGee's birthday. We want to say happy birthday to Sally McGee. So good to see you. And I just have to say, there are quite a few people we haven't seen in a while, and you know who you are, and it's really nice to see you today. So welcome back to all. So, yes? Pies for Peace, very urgent and important question, and this is the answer. So during the shutdown, some of you may remember that Lisa at You Take the Cake made apple hand pies for us. I have reached out to Lisa, even though she's closed You Take the Cake. All Souls was among her favorite customers. And so I asked her if she would make those hand pies for us again, and then we would set up in a similar way as we are this morning, or see what's happening with construction. Maybe we can still be in the back. So we're trying to figure out how to make that happen. But something will happen that is sweet, and we'll see. We'll see what it is. Any other questions? This is sort of an interesting moment. Any other anything? All right, Katrina, welcome. And so come on up for a sweet. I am going to the coffee shop with the youth group. I'm so excited. So I'll be here for a bit and then taking off. See you next week.